Oh, how is everybody doing? Good afternoon. Happy Wednesday, hump day, if you will. Hope you guys are crushing it during the work week. Hope your boss isn't being a dick. Hope that you're being treated fairly. And if you are at work while I give you this news, then I think you're going to enjoy it. Because when I saw the news, I was like, man, I got to go live right now. I got to go live right now. I got to talk about this because this was a big part of my childhood. And perhaps you could tell by the title, one of the greatest college football players in history had his Heisman Trophy taken away because of an NCAA investigation that found he received impermissible benefits during his time with the Trojans, USC. And now that we have players getting paid millions and millions of dollars, it was hypocritical to not give him his Heisman. The Heisman should have never taken the trophy away, right? The trust, the company, the NCAA, whatever you want to call it, that should have never happened because this happens with players everywhere. Okay. And now my thinking is like, how do you pick and choose which players you're going to punish for it and which ones you aren't? Okay. The other thing is Reggie Bush, like I said, you could make a list of Heisman Trophy winners and you could make a list of people that made the impact that Reggie Bush made in college, and it's a much shorter list. I know the Heisman Trophy gets, sorry, hold on, I forgot my nicotine pouches. I know that the Heisman Trophy goes to people that are generally really talented athletes that are drafted really high, but I don't want us to just group Reggie Bush into that. Now, I'm 29 years old. So, my not earliest, but my early football memories, right? There's a specific team and player that stands out among all players. I'm talking about even Denver Broncos, who even back then I was a big fan of. All right. My favorite player was probably Champ Bailey. Okay. But among all of those players, nobody made me feel the way Reggie Bush made me feel about football. I saw him. He made number 5 cool. You might not even know why 5's cool. It's because Reggie Bush wore it. He had the eye black. He would reverse field. He was a magical player to watch. Absolutely magical. Unlike anything that I had ever seen up to that point. Bush, his season in 2005 was a season for the ages. Whether it was helping push Matt Leinart over the goal line at his Notre Dame game to turning on a dime and reversing field at Fresno State, Reggie Bush finished his 2005 season with 1,740 rushing yards and nearly 500 receiving yards and 18 touchdowns. Reggie Bush's season was one of the all-time great seasons. Now, if you're 30 years old, between 25 and 30, between 20 and 25, I understand that this changes every 5 years because who you watched when you were 12, 11, 10, 13, and 14, those are very, very fundamental years because whatever player you decide to latch onto is the player where you're going to try to emulate on the field, right? Reggie Bush is responsible for a lot of little kids hearing the term north and south out of their coach's mouth, meaning if you're taking the football, you run north or south, but not east to west. Because everybody wanted to reverse field after Reggie Bush did it. Everybody wanted to see what it would feel like to be able to do some of the things Reggie Bush did when he would jump over people and dive over the goal line. He was just insane. If you didn't watch him, go watch his highlights on YouTube. You will literally shit your pants. It's that good. And the NCAA comes in and finds out, oh, you received some money during your time in USC, and it's like, okay, but We have always known that players were receiving money, and there's even legal ways to do it, I guess, with boosters. If you watched the Blind Side, you know what I'm talking about, where you pay somebody, you give the school billions of dollars, and it's just kind of like a money funnel or a third party source that ends up paying these kids. But the NCAA finally is like, you know what? This is messy. We're gonna need to regulate this so that we can kind of shut down all these backdoor entries. It's kind of like why people are for the legalization of marijuana, because then they don't have to go do a legal underground market where they're exposed to other narcotic, ecstasy pills, all kinds of different stuff that they wouldn't be exposed to if they bought it at a store. So the NCAA is like, okay, well, we can't control the fact that money is going to the players. We might as well make sure that, the money ultimately is coming from us. It can be tracked. And then they go, well, if we're paying players to play college football, then doesn't it seem a little hypocritical that Reggie Bush didn't get his Heisman Trophy back? This is another thing with the legalization of marijuana. Now you have to release all of the people in prison, or the ones that were caught just smoking a joint, not necessarily the people that had illegal grow ops of over 100 plants. They might be doomed, but for the people that just got punished for having marijuana, now that that's not a punishable crime, you have to release those players. And part of this process was giving Reggie Bush back his trophy, because the law of the land has changed. Now, we could go back and forth on whether it's okay to break the rules if everyone's doing it. But when you go through and see the kind of stuff that Reggie Bush was given, um, I'm just saying, like, if you are not gonna walk a mile in his shoes, tread lightly on the judgment, because it's really hard, I would imagine, to have nothing, and you are literally the hottest player in the world, and you're trying to figure out where your next meal's coming from, right? That shouldn't be the case. You should not be making these owner. And with this said, I'm not one of those people that's like, pay the players millions, right? I feel like there's a lot of value in a college education, but I am saying that there are specific players that are making. I think if we need to create a threshold, and if that player, through legal avenues is making X amount of revenue, then he should get some kind of the residuals or a percentage off the top. It can even go into an account that he'll get later, and you can only pull out a max 5,000 a month. There's a way to do this where everybody is getting fed and everybody's happy, right? But I'm not one of those people that's like super happy that, kids are not looking at free education, free college as an incentive enough to go out and play. Like, if I it was kind of like before I was in the Navy, I couldn't afford to go to the dentist. So if you have a cavity, you just get some of that oral gel, and I could taste it right now. That taste, right? You just deal with it. You might get some whiskey, whatever you got to do, you just deal with it. When you got into the military, it was like, no, because I was a naval air crewman, we had to fly, and if you have a cavity exposed in that kind of altitude under the pressure, it can literally explode in your mouth. So you can't have a cavity. So they would basically make you go twice a year. And if you went past 6 months without going to the dentist, a Navy chief would come in and say, you need to go to dental. Well, I would always tell the people, like, hey, you guys have no idea what it's like to have a cavity or something wrong with your teeth, and you can't afford to fix it. Okay. You joined when you're 18. You seem to have gotten all figured out, but please understand that there are people out there that would give their left nut to be able to go get their teeth fixed. So I feel the same way about college. Like, to get into a school like USC, right? And to have it paid for 4 years, it is worth a ton, right? It's just, how much is it worth to you? And a lot of athletes don't take their education serious, so they feel like they're owed something because that wasn't a fair exchange. Don't really care about going to class. I'm going to the NFL. And like I said, I don't have the answers to all these, questions. But I understand both sides of it. And I think Reggie Bush was chosen to make an example out of him when this had been going on for so long. So I'm going to look up really quick. I put it up. So when he received his Heisman Trophy, he said, "I'm grateful to once again be recognized as the recipient of the Heisman Trophy," Bush said in a statement. What did he receive at USC? They keep giving me his accolades. He received 18 touchdowns. Okay, let's see. USC Athletics just posted. The Heisman Trophy Trust has been reinstated to the 2005 Heisman Trophy winner Reggie Bush today, to mark a historic day for college football. This is a historic day for college football. We are thrilled to welcome Reggie Bush back to the Heisman family. I would be like, fuck your family. Like, I'm sorry, but like, you're gonna make an example out of me, turn a blind eye to all the other Heisman Trophy winners, and then when your back's pushed against the wall from legal people telling you that you have no legal right to withhold it, you're gonna welcome me with open arms back? Fuck off. As a part of the announcement, the Heisman Trophy has returned it to Bush and the replica to USC. Bush will be invited to all future Heisman Trophy ceremonies, starting with the 90th Heisman Trophy ceremony this fall. I could see Reggie Bush being the bigger person and attending that, but my desire is for him to boycott all of these forever because of the way they treated him. I know that sounds kind of resentful, but I just feel like sometimes people need to be somewhat accountable. Like, you can't just always be like, okay, yeah, I know we fucked you over, but now we welcome you with open arms and we're just going to continue this great marriage. Because if not, we'll destroy your NFL media career. Like, can we stop dangling the carrot in front of him? Just leave him alone. And that's kind of why I hope, he is like, no, I don't need you. What a historic day, Lincoln Riley said. Reggie's reintroduction to the Heisman family is a special moment for every person that has been associated with USC football. We are thrilled that Reggie's athletic accomplishments as one of the greatest to ever play the game can officially be recognized. And like I said, I've been watching football for 27 years, right? I have never seen anybody like Reggie Bush. And that is a large sample size. I mean, Melvin Gordon is in second in the single season rushing yards underneath Barry Sanders with I forget what it was. I think it was like 2,700. It's a ton. All right. We're not talking about just yards and touchdowns. We're talking about the eyeball test. Put the film on. This is why sometimes the stats don't actually translate to facts, because Melvin Gordon had one of the greatest college football seasons statistically. Reggie Bush was different, totally different. And that's why Reggie Bush was selected second overall, like guys like Saquon Barkley and Ezekiel Elliott. Bush's reinstatement to the Heisman family allows him to rejoin the impressive fraternity with O.J. Simpson. O.J. Simpson. Wait, so you can kill somebody, but you can't accept money. Mike Garrett, Charles White, Marcus Allen, Carson Palmer, Matt Leinart, and Caleb Williams. With the announcement of Bush's reinstatement, USC officially has the most Heisman Trophy winners in all of college football. A consensus first-team All-American in 2004 and a unanimous selection for the Heisman Trophy in 2005. An all-purpose player, Bush claimed the Doak Walker Award and was the Walter Camp Player of the Year, the AP Player of the Year, the Sporting News Player of the Year, and the Heisman Trophy winner. He finished fifth in Heisman Trophy voting in 2004, the year his teammate and quarterback Matt Leinart claimed the award. In 2003, Bush was named a freshman All-American. He only had 3 seasons in USC, but he helped guide the Trojans to 3 consecutive national championship games, winning national championships in 2004, 28-14 victory over Michigan, 2005 Orange Bowl with a victory over Oklahoma, and then, of course, his last season, in my opinion, the greatest Rose Bowl national championship of all time, 41-38 loss to Texas. And I'll never forget that game. My brother was going for Texas. I was going for USC because he liked Vince Young and I liked Reggie Bush. And that, to me, was just go back and watch that game and tell me what game can stand up next to that game. Bush set an NCAA record with an astounding 7.3 yards per carry during his career and led the NCAA with 222 all-purpose yards per game, finishing 4th nationally with 133 rushing yards per game. His 513 all-purpose yards versus Fresno State ranks 2nd in NCAA annals. As a 2-time Pac-10 Player of the Year, Bush was a member of 3 consecutive Pac-10 championship teams. He ranks 2nd in league history with 2,890 all-purpose yards in 2005, 4th all-time with 6,552 career all-purpose yards, having led the league in all-purpose yards in 2004 and 2005. Look, I could keep on going and going and going. There's a lot more to this story when it comes to his accolades, but you get the point. Reggie Bush was iconic, and he was so iconic, and I've told this story on the Only Football podcast, but I'll mention it here. There was a family friend that played in the NFL for us. His name was Kevin Walter. He was a wide receiver. He played with the Bengals, and I remember in the offseason, because my dad was a golf pro, and this NFL player's brother worked at the same golf course with my dad. So he would come visit his brother during the offseason. And, long story short, my dad would be like, oh, my son's crazy about football. It led to me getting to meet some players, not Bengals, but when he got traded to the Texans, I got to meet like Owen Daniels and some Andre Johnson, some players that were really good for the Texans, Carr. And he also got me a football signed by the entire Cincinnati Bengals, Carson Palmer, who we were just talking about. Chad Johnson was there, TJ Hushmanzada. There was a lot of big names on that football. So anyway, when he got traded to the Texans, I knew, because I get to meet all the players in the offseason, whoever Kevin Walter goes to, I knew that whoever he got drafted by, it would matter to me because the Texans were drafting at number 1 overall. The Saints were drafting at number 2. So Reggie Bush, literally my favorite player of all time, if he gets drafted number 1 to the Texans, that means I'm going to meet Reggie Bush, right? That would have been a dream come true for me. Still would. And the NFL draft started, and it was still to this day the only draft that I shed real tears because it meant a lot to me. And with the first overall pick in the 2005 or 2006, however it panned out, NFL draft, the Houston Texans select Mario Williams. Burr, burr, burr. Heartbroken. Absolutely devastated. And then with the second pick, the New Orleans Saints selected Reggie Bush. And I was like, man. So Reggie Bush, man, absolutely iconic. He made single digits cool. He made 5 cool. He made USC really cool for people in my age group. It was the right thing for him to get the trophy back. I've already said my piece about them taking it away, but the trust said in a statement that its decision followed a deliberative process in which it closely monitored changes in the college football landscape. That included the U.S. Supreme Court's 2021 decision that question the legality of the NCAA's amateurism model and open the door to athlete compensation, the ability of college football players to be paid for their name, image, and likeness, and the NCAA's recent proposal to remove the cap on education-related payments, and also removing the penalty on people that receive them. So Reggie Bush reinstated as the 2005 Heisman Trophy winner. Let me know what you guys think in the comments. Should Reggie Bush have gotten it taken away? The rules are the rules. Or are you happy that he got it back? Do you think it should have been taken away and given back? Let me know what you guys think. Thank you guys for watching, and I will see you guys in a little bit. You can follow me at NFL with Kyle. And you can also catch us tomorrow night on the Only Football Podcast, doing an amazing job of the NFL draft. I'm telling you, I've been putting in the production work. It is going to be just like watching it on TV. So definitely check it out with us. Can't wait to see you guys. Have a good night.